You ever notice how every Netflix true crime documentary starts like it's trying to win an Oscar for Best Horror Movie? They don't just tell you a story. No, they build this whole fake atmosphere like the devil himself is narrating. First thing you get is the black screen. Nothing but silence. Then, out of nowhere, one piano key drops, real slow, like the ghost of Beethoven is tapping the keys just to fuck with your nerves. And then, here it comes, the whispery narrator. Always the same tone, like they're reading bedtime stories to demons. On a cold night in 1987, something unthinkable happened in a quiet town. It's always a quiet town, bro. Always. Nobody ever commits crimes in a loud-ass city, apparently. Nope, it's gotta be Smallville, population 2,000, where the most exciting thing in town is a Dairy Queen opening. Netflix wants you to believe darkness is always hiding behind suburbia. Because if they told the truth, like some crazy shit went down in Detroit, you'd be like, well, yeah, obviously. So it's gotta be the quietest, whitest, most boring place on earth, otherwise the vibe doesn't hit. Then they always hit you with the drone shots. Holy hell, the drone shots. Netflix must have a whole drone army on payroll. No matter what the case is, you're gonna see that slow, sweeping aerial over a cornfield. Sometimes it's a barn. Sometimes it's a lake. Sometimes it's a Walmart parking lot. It doesn't matter. And the narrator will say nobody knew what secrets lay beneath these waters. Yeah, because there are no secrets, bro. It's just a lake. Netflix acts like every pond in America has 5 bodies at the bottom. You could show them a puddle after a rainstorm and they'd hit you with, but what really happened here on that fateful night? Like nothing, dude. That puddle evaporated. Relax. They'll drag the camera over a gas station, and suddenly this was the last place she was ever seen alive. Bro, it's a 7-Eleven. People come in and out every day. Netflix makes it sound like holy ground because they love stretching normal shit into drama. And the music. Jesus Christ, the music. You could play that shit over a Happy Meal, and suddenly it's terrifying. They'll show a hallway, just a plain-ass hallway, and the soundtrack goes done in. You're like, oh shit, who died here? No one, it's literally the post office. They show a cop sipping coffee. Done in. Bro, it's Dunkin' Donuts, not the crime of the century. Netflix cranks that suspense dial to 11, no matter what's on screen. They could make a cat chasing yarn sound like a satanic ritual. And it works because we're sitting there on our couches like idiots, goosebumps on our arms, staring at a slow zoom of a goddamn mailbox. That's the trick. They don't need content, they need tone. And tone is free if you've got dramatic music, a drone, and a guy who whispers like his rent depends on it. Now let's talk about that narrator. Whoever they hire, they always sound like they've been smoking cloves in a haunted attic. Slow, drawn out, dramatic as hell. But little did they know the killer was closer than they thought. And it's never just once. They drag that style through the whole series. Every episode starts with that same spooky bedtime story energy. And the script. Pure cliches. Cold night, quiet town. A secret lurking in the shadows. They love that formula because it never fails. You already know you're being manipulated, but it works. They could be describing the history of a lost sock and you'd still be hooked. On a cold night in 2004, a single sock vanished in a quiet laundry room. And boom, you're locked in for 10 episodes waiting to find out what happened to the fucking sock. That's the Netflix magic trick. They make boring sound ominous until you can't look away. And it's never just one drone shot either. They repeat that shit like it's gospel. They'll circle the same lake 6 times from 6 angles. They'll fly over the same neighborhood at sunrise, then sunset, then midnight, like it's gonna reveal something new. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. It's the same fucking lake. But by the time they've shown it with enough sad piano music, you're convinced that lake holds the answers to everything. Netflix has a way of hypnotizing you with repetition. They hammer it into your brain. Quiet town, dark night, mysterious lake. By the time episode 3 hits, you're like, yeah, I bet that lake is guilty as hell. They condition you like Pavlov's dog, except instead of drooling at a bell, you're drooling over ominous farmland shots. And don't even get me started on the mystery building shots. They love pointing the camera at some old, abandoned house, zooming in all creepy, then holding it for way too long. And the narrator goes, this house held many secrets. Bro, no it didn't. It held termites and maybe a raccoon. They'll drag out that shot, slow zoom on a broken window, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, this house killed someone. No, it didn't, bro, it's just drywall. Netflix tricks you into being scared of architecture. That's talent. Or evil. Or both. The wild part is how predictable it is, and yet we still fall for it. Every time. Netflix could literally film your grandma's basement with a creepy soundtrack and a whispery voice, and suddenly you're like, what dark secrets happened here in 1974? Nothing, bro. It's where she keeps her Christmas decorations. But you'll still binge it because they know the formula works. Black screen, piano, drone, cornfield, creepy voice. That's all it takes to hook you for the next 10 hours. And you'll sit there fully aware you're being scammed, but also fully invested because that first episode made you paranoid about cornfields. Netflix could put out the mystery of the missing sandwich, and by the end of episode 1, you'd be side-eyeing your fridge like it's a crime scene. Now man, the second episode of every Netflix true crime doc is where they roll out the neighbors. And holy shit, it's the same damn people every time. They sit down on that chair, one sad little lamp behind them for mood lighting. And half their face is in shadow like they're confessing to murder themselves. The first line is always he was quiet, kept to himself. Never thought he was capable of this. Bro, that line has been copy-pasted into every doc since the dawn of Netflix. Nobody ever says the truth. Nobody ever sits down like, yeah, that guy was weird as fuck. Collected knives, talked to pigeons, gave me Dahmer vibes from day one. I'm shocked it took this long. Nope. It's always the he was normal, polite, friendly routine. And Netflix edits it so dramatic, like it's a revelation. No, Karen, it's not a revelation. It's just your boring-ass neighbor acting boring until the day he snapped. Then they bring in the family. And listen, I'm not shitting on grieving families, but Netflix loves milking cliches. Every family member says the same scripted line. She was the light of our lives. Respect, but no one ever says, honestly, she was kind of a pain in the ass, always borrowed my car and never filled the tank. I'm not shocked someone lost patience. That shit never makes the cut. Netflix needs angels and monsters, saints and demons, no gray areas. Victims are always perfect. Killers are always mysterious, neighbors are always shocked. It's like watching the same play with new actors every time. And you know the producers are sitting there like, can you cry when you say that? Maybe say light of our lives again, but slower. Manipulative as hell. They'll squeeze every tear out like it's a goddamn juice cleanse. And, oh my god, the friends from school interviews. Netflix loves digging up that one dude who sat behind the killer in 8th grade math. This guy hasn't seen him in 20 years, but suddenly he's an expert. Yeah, he seemed off sometimes. No shit, Steve, we all seemed off in middle school. You're telling me a kid who didn't like gym class turned into a murderer? Revolutionary, they'll drag these randoms in just to add filler. And it works because now you've got a whole episode of strangers saying nothing useful. It's like watching Yelp reviews for people's lives. He was polite. She was sweet. They seemed normal. Cool. Well, so does everyone until they're not. That's literally the point. And the way Netflix edits these interviews is manipulative as hell. They'll take a 5-second line and stretch it with dramatic cuts. Someone says, yeah, he was always quiet, then boom, slow zoom, piano note, fade to black. You're sitting there like, holy shit, that's important. It's not important, it's just fluff. Netflix could take me saying he had a cat and make it sound like the cat is the Zodiac killer. He had a cat. Done in. Fade to cornfield. Like, bro, relax, it's a house pet. But they need drama, so they edit every line like it's gospel. And the neighbors, man, they eat that spotlight up. Some of them get a little too into it, like they've been waiting for their Netflix debut their whole damn lives. They sit up straighter, tilt their head, add that fake-ass thoughtful pause. He was quiet, dramatic sigh, kept to himself, like they're auditioning for an Emmy. And you know Netflix loves that shit, because they eat up fake authenticity. Throw in a single tear, boom, you're in the trailer. Doesn't matter if you didn't actually know the victim that well. Cry on cue and Netflix will give you your 5 minutes of fame. But my favorite filler is when they interview people who have absolutely zero connection to the case. Some random old guy at the diner. Yeah, I saw him once at the grocery store. He bought milk. Groundbreaking, Gary. Thanks for your contribution. Or the cable guy. I fixed his Wi-Fi once. Nice dude. Bro, this is not evidence. This is small talk. But Netflix doesn't care because that's another 5 minutes of runtime. They'll cut it in with a creepy drone shot and sad piano, and suddenly the Wi-Fi repair sounds like a murder clue. He fixed the Wi-Fi. Done an N, like bro, stop. And here's the manipulative part. These neighbor and family interviews aren't even for information. They're for emotion. Netflix wants you crying, angry, shocked, whatever. They want you to feel so deep in your bones that you're hooked for the next episode. They'll roll out the crying mom, the sobbing brother, the devastated best friend. And listen, grief is real, but Netflix packages it like reality TV. They cut it with the dramatic music, the dark lighting, the slow zoom. They don't let people just tell their truth. They turn it into a fucking performance. That's why it feels so fake after a while. You're not watching people grieve. You're watching producers pull puppet strings. And the worst part, half these neighbors don't even remember shit. But they'll still sit there and talk like experts because the camera's rolling. He seemed normal. Wow, thanks, Janet. That narrows it down. Or she had a smile that lit up the room. Okay, but did she have enemies? Did she owe someone money? Did she piss off the Hoel? Then why the fuck are you talking? But Netflix doesn't care. They'll keep the useless sound bites, add piano keys, and boom, episode filler complete. It's insane when you realize how much of these documentaries are just random-ass people talking about nothing. The crime itself? Maybe 20% of the show. The rest, neighbors, family, random diner patrons, old teachers, all saying seem normal. And we eat that shit up like it's important. We sit there nodding like, wow, they seem normal. No shit, that's why it's on Netflix. If they seemed obviously evil, the case wouldn't exist. Man, the music in these Netflix docs deserves its own goddamn Emmy for overacting because holy shit, they can make anything sound like the end of the world. They'll show a shot of a hallway, just a plain-ass hallway, and suddenly the bass drops like Satan himself lives there. Done in, you're on the couch thinking, oh shit, someone died there. Nope, that's the middle school gym. Nobody died, it just smells like sweat. And then a cop sipping coffee. Done in NN? Bro, it's Duncan. Relax. Netflix's music department could make a motherfucking sandwich look like a crime scene. Put a violin over a turkey club, and suddenly it's the last meal of an unsuspecting victim. They don't even care what's happening on screen. It's always that same creepy-ass piano riff, the strings swelling, the deep rumble like Godzilla's about to show up. All just to tell us someone bought gas in 1993. And don't even get me started on the re-enactments. Oh my god, the re-enactments. Always blurry, always in slow motion, always some shadowy figure walking like they're starring in a Marvel villain origin story. Netflix will take a single blurry frame of CCTV footage, someone walking down a hallway at night, and replay it 15 times from 15 angles. They'll slow it down, add a creepy hum, zoom in until it's just pixels, and then whisper, was this the killer or just a man buying cigarettes? Like, bro, it's clearly just a guy buying Newports. But by the time Netflix is done editing, you're half convinced this is the Zodiac killer in disguise. They stretch that shit so far, it's practically a yoga class. By the 5th replay, you don't even care anymore, you just want them to stop zooming into a blur of static. And the worst part? They act like these reenactments are evidence. Like this shadowy figure may hold the key. No, it doesn't, bro. That's literally just a shadow. Netflix will film some random intern in a hoodie walking down a fake hallway, blur it, slow it down, then slap it between interviews. Now it's critical footage. They'll stage a guy opening a door. Slow-mo, creaking sound, dramatic sting. And then fade to black. You're thinking, holy shit, the killer's inside. Nah, it's just a dude going to get a beer from the fridge. Netflix could make your uncle grabbing a Bud Light look like a satanic ritual. At 11:47 p.m., the suspect opened the fridge. Done in NN. And you ever notice they love showing close-ups of random shit? A doorknob, a pair of shoes, a puddle. Always shot like it's the Ark of the Covenant. And the music makes you think that puddle knows something. No, it fucking doesn't. It's rainwater. But Netflix has you staring at it like it's going to confess. They'll film a rocking chair moving slightly, add the ominous hum, and suddenly you're like, that chair killed someone. Netflix tricks your brain into being scared of furniture. They've weaponized sound effects to the point where you can't even trust your own living room anymore. And the slow motion, man, Netflix loves slow motion. If they could make the whole series in slow motion, they would. Somebody shuts a door. Slow motion. Somebody lights a cigarette. Slow motion. Somebody blinks. Slow motion. They'll drag a single second into 30, like you're watching The Matrix, but without Keanu. And of course, the soundtrack cranks up, because nothing says suspense like zooming in on a blinking eye. They could show me brushing my teeth in slow motion with a creepy violin, and suddenly I'm convinced I'm a suspect. At 9:03 a.m., the man brushed his teeth. Done in, like, bro, what are we even doing here? And here's the dirty little secret. They use these reenactments to fill time. That's it. They don't mean shit. Netflix could tell the story in 2 episodes tops, but instead they drag it into 10, and reenactments are how they pad the runtime. They'll show you that blurry dude walking down the hall in every episode. Episode 1? It's the first sighting. Episode 3? Revisited footage. Episode 5? Slowed down analysis. Episode 7? Forensic enhancement. Episode 9? New perspective. Bro, it's the same fucking clip. By the end, I'm more suspicious of Netflix than the guy in the hoodie. And it's not just the visuals, it's the way they narrate it. Always vague as hell, leaving just enough mystery to keep you hooked. This could be the killer, or maybe not. But what if it was? That's not evidence. That's a fucking clickbait thumbnail in video form. That's the YouTube face with the shocked emoji, stretched into an hour-long docuseries. Netflix is basically BuzzFeed with a budget. You won't believe what this blurry shadow really means or won't mean, but you'll keep watching anyway. And we do. Every single time. And don't forget the enhanced footage gimmick. Oh man, that's my favorite. They'll take a potato-quality security tape from 1992, run it through what looks like Microsoft Paint, and then claim they clarified it. Bro, it's still blurry as hell. All you did was add a zoom and put enhanced in red letters. They'll circle a blob with a yellow outline and say this could be a weapon. No, it could be a fucking sandwich. It's a blob. That's it. Netflix will have you believing a ham and cheese is Exhibit A if the music's creepy enough. And the absolute kicker. The dramatic recreations. That's when they hire actors to play the victim or the suspect. Always vague shots. Just a hand turning a doorknob, feet walking across a floor, a shadow leaning over a bed. They never show faces because that'd be too much like committing to a story. It's always half bodies, hands, backs of heads. Like they hired 10 extras from Craigslist and told them, just look suspicious, we'll handle the rest. And then they cut it in with the narrator whispering, was this how it happened? Bro, you don't know. Nobody knows. That's why it's still a mystery. You're just filming a guy in a hoodie holding a flashlight like it's the Blair Witch Project. And by the time you've seen enough of these fake-ass reenactments, you realize Netflix isn't solving crimes. They're producing horror movies. Low-budget, formulaic horror movies with a true crime label slapped on them. It's not about evidence. It's about atmosphere. They don't want you to think. They want you to feel. They want you paranoid, creeped out, and binging the next episode even though you already know the ending will be case remains unsolved. It's manipulation dressed up as documentary. But damn it, it works. That creepy piano, the blurry hoodie guy, the slow zoom on a puddle. You can't look away. Netflix knows exactly how to keep your ass glued to the couch, and the reenactments are their secret weapon. Man, Netflix has a fetish for suspects. They love suspects more than cops do. Every documentary eventually hits that stage where they start pointing fingers at literally anyone who ever breathed near the victim. And it's always the same build-up. Ominous music, black and white photo, and that narrator whispering, he seemed like the perfect suspect. Translation. Buckle up, because we're about to waste 2 episodes blaming someone who didn't do shit. First up, the creepy janitor. There's always a creepy janitor. They pull up some old mugshot where the guy looks half asleep and edit it like he's Hannibal Lecter. Then the interviews roll in. Yeah, he always gave me a weird vibe. He once yelled at me for stepping on the freshly mopped floor. And Netflix makes that sound like a murder confession. Bro, he's a janitor. Yelling at people for dirty floors is literally his job. But nah, cue the ominous strings and 10 slow zooms on his face until you're convinced this guy eats people for breakfast. Then 2 episodes later, but then a shocking twist. He had nothing to do with it. The fuck? You dragged me through 4 hours of janitor slander just to clear him? And Netflix doesn't stop there. Oh no. Next up, the brother-in-law. Always the brother-in-law. Because apparently marriage makes you a suspect by default. They'll dig up old family photos, zoom in on him standing slightly off to the side, and suddenly he's a murderer. Why wasn't he smiling in this picture? Because it was Thanksgiving and nobody smiles at Thanksgiving? That's why. But Netflix doesn't care. They'll cut in some dramatic interview. Yeah, he never seemed that close to the family. And boom, 2 more episodes wasted. Then, of course, the mailman gets dragged in. He delivered letters to the house every week. Could he have delivered death? What the actual fuck, Netflix? The man dropped off bills, not bodies. But by the time they're done, you're side-eyeing every postal worker like they're Ted Bundy with a USPS logo. And the fake twists. Holy shit, the fake twists are their bread and butter. Every 2 episodes, they dangle a big shocking discovery. It's always phrased the same way, but then investigators uncovered something that would change everything. And you're on the couch like, oh shit, here we go, they got him. Nope, it's some dumbass non-clue. The suspect once bought duct tape at a hardware store. Wow, so did half of America. That's not a twist, that's Home Depot. Or they'll hit you with, he didn't have an alibi for 3 hours that night. And then the next scene? Turns out he was just watching Wheel of Fortune. Netflix drags out every dead end, like it's Shakespeare. They know we'll keep watching, hoping for that one real twist, but it never comes. It's just smoke and mirrors stretched across 10 fucking episodes. And the editing. Don't even get me started on the editing. Netflix edits suspects like they're crafting a villain in a Marvel movie. Slow pans on their face, creepy violins, old high school photos with dramatic zooms. They'll even throw in that cliché line from someone like he always kept to himself. And suddenly you're thinking, yeah, this guy's guilty as hell. Then 30 minutes later, they flipped the whole script. But DNA proved he was innocent. Oh, so you knew that from the jump, huh? You knew this man was innocent, but you still dragged his reputation through the mud for a couple episodes. Netflix plays with people's lives like they're fucking character arcs. They'll villainize the janitor, demonize the brother-in-law, traumatize the mailman, all for runtime. And don't forget the random-ass suspects they pull out of nowhere. Like 3 episodes in and suddenly, police considered a local drifter. Who the fuck is this drifter? Never mentioned before, never mentioned after, but Netflix will dedicate 20 minutes to him. Some homeless dude who once walked past the neighborhood and suddenly he's the Zodiac killer. Or better yet, the weird coworker. Always one random coworker at the victim's job who gets painted as suspicious because he didn't come to the office Christmas party. Bro, maybe he just hates karaoke. That doesn't make him a murderer. But Netflix spins it like, why didn't he attend? Was it guilt or something darker? Nah, man, it was just bad potato salad and he had better things to do. The fake resolution is the dirtiest trick. Netflix spends 10 hours throwing suspects at you like darts, and at the end, the case remains unsolved. Excuse me, unsolved? You could have told me that at the start and saved me a week of my life. But no, you had to string me along, make me suspect the janitor, the brother-in-law, the mailman, the coworker, and the drifter. By the end, I'm suspecting my own damn reflection. Netflix conditions you into paranoia. You're looking at your neighbor like, that guy keeps to himself, he's probably next on Netflix. It's fucked up. They don't give closure, they give chaos. And the cherry on top, Netflix always teases a breakthrough that never happens. They'll say, but new evidence in 2022 may reopen the case. And you're like, oh shit, let's hear it. Then they show a blurry Polaroid and say, but nothing came of it. Are you fucking serious? That's not evidence, that's filler. They hype up duct tape receipts, blurry shadows, missing alibis, then drop them like hot potatoes. By the end, you realize Netflix isn't solving mysteries. They're manufacturing drama. The suspects aren't real. The twists aren't real. the closure sure as hell isn't real. It's a scam, a con, a carnival dressed up as documentary. But damn it, we still fall for it, episode after episode, suspect after suspect, twist after twist. Man, now let's talk about the so-called experts. Oh my god, these people show up in every Netflix true crime doc like they're superheroes, but half the time they didn't solve shit. You'll see a detective from 20 years ago, sitting there in full uniform like he's still on duty saying, "This was the hardest case of my career." Yeah bro, and it's still unsolved. You didn't solve a damn thing. Stop sitting there like you cracked the Zodiac cipher. These guys are always the same. Grizzled voice, dramatic pause, sipping water like they're dropping nuclear secrets. But all they ever say is the same recycled garbage. We followed every lead, but we hit a dead end. That's not expert commentary. That's admitting failure with dramatic lighting. Netflix frames them like heroes, but really they're just narrating how they fumbled the ball for 10 straight years. If you failed this bad in any other job, you'd be fired, not interviewed for a Netflix doc. Imagine a plumber on camera like, "Yeah, I couldn't fix the leak, water ruined the house, but it was the toughest pipe of my career." Bro, you'd get sued, not a cameo. Then the forensic scientists show up, and Netflix really milks them. These people sit in labs with microscopes talking to the camera like we're all dumb toddlers. DNA, also known as deoxyribonucleic acid, thanks professor, I learned that in 8th grade. Just tell me if the blood matches or not. But Netflix loves the science montage. They'll show beakers bubbling, hands putting gloves on in slow motion, some dude staring at a strand of hair like it's the Rosetta Stone. And then you're like, oh shit, here comes the breakthrough. Nope, 3 episodes later, it's always results were inconclusive. Are you fucking kidding me? I wasted 3 hours watching you zoom in on cotton swabs, and your big reveal is we don't know. Science isn't the problem. It's Netflix dragging it out like it's CSI, Cornfield edition. If they admitted the DNA was trash in the first 5 minutes, we'd all move on. But they string us along like crack addicts, hyping the lab work like it's Avengers. Endgame. And the narrators, Jesus Christ, the narrators. These people talk like they're reading bedtime stories for Satan, slow, dramatic, creepy, like every word is a prophecy. But little did they know the killer was closer than they thought. And Netflix uses that exact line in every series. Swap the year, swap the town, same script. It's like they have a narrator template .docs file saved. And the delivery is always exaggerated. You could give them any script and it'd sound ominous. On a cold night in 1997, someone forgot to take out the trash. Boom, suspense. They could narrate your grocery list and have you terrified. He bought eggs, milk, and duct tape. Done in. Bro, calm down, that's just breakfast, not a fucking murder kit. But the way they drag their voice, it hypnotizes you. Before you know it, you're scared of your own kitchen supplies. Netflix weaponizes voice acting like it's psychological warfare. And here's the kicker. They pad every damn episode with filler interviews from nobodies. The random diner patron cameo, always some old guy in a trucker hat saying, yeah, I remember him. Came in once, ordered a burger. Nice guy. Thank you, Bill, that's groundbreaking. Or the old teacher from 4th grade. He was quiet, didn't like math. Wow. That's evidence? Half of us didn't like math. Netflix, you're gonna put us all on a suspect board. They'll even interview the cable guy. I fixed his Wi-Fi once. He said thank you. Netflix edits that with a creepy zoom and suddenly it's sinister. He said thank you. Done in. Like bro, stop. Not everything is a clue. Sometimes people just order food or fix their internet without committing murder. But Netflix doesn't care because filler equals runtime and runtime equals 10 episodes. And you can always tell when they're running low on content because the filler gets weirder. They start bringing in psychics. Yep, the I felt dark energy lady. Some crystal-waving medium who walks through the crime scene and goes, I sense sadness. No shit, people died here. You don't need psychic powers for that. But Netflix will treat it like divine intervention. Could the psychic hold the key investigators missed? No, she can't, bro. She's making vague guesses while walking through an abandoned house. But it's another 20 minutes on the clock, so Netflix eats it up. Or the friend who hasn't seen the victim in 20 years. We were close in high school. She always smiled. Okay, and? That's all you got? They'll still use it because every useless line gets wrapped in sad piano and turned into critical testimony. And the absolute worst filler? The recaps. Every episode starts with a recap of the last one, like we all forgot what happened 12 hours ago. Previously on Murder in a Quiet Town, then they show the same blurry shadow, the same crying neighbor, the same dog barking at a wall. Bro, I just saw that last night. Stop wasting my time. It's not even a recap, it's recycling. Netflix could have made one tight 2-hour documentary, but they chose to Frankenstein it into a 10-episode mess with flashbacks, recaps, and filler interviews that mean nothing. It's like binge watching homework. You're stuck in this endless loop of previously on and coming up next, until you realize half the runtime is just Netflix reminding you what you already watched. So between the fake experts who solved nothing, the scientists hyping inconclusive lab results, the narrators whispering like the Grim Reaper's side hustle, and the endless filler from random people who don't matter, you realize Netflix isn't documenting shit. They're stretching stories like pizza dough until they cover 10 hours of your life. And we fall for it every single time. We sit there like zombies, nodding along while the Wi-Fi guy and the psychic lady pad the runtime. That's the game. The experts don't solve the case, the narrators don't tell the truth, and the filler sure as hell doesn't matter. But altogether, it's enough to keep you glued to the couch until the bullshit finale. The endings, man. Oh my god, the endings are the dirtiest trick Netflix pulls. You sit through 10 goddamn episodes, each one padded with drone shots, crying neighbors, blurry reenactments, and suspects who didn't do shit. And what's the big finale? The case remains unsolved to this day. Are you kidding me? That's your grand conclusion? You could have told me that in the first 5 minutes and saved me an entire week of my life. But no, you strung me along, played me like a fiddle, milked me for views while making me suspect every janitor, brother-in-law, and mailman in America. It's like getting to the end of a roller coaster only to find out the ride never moved. You waited in line for 2 hours, strapped in, screamed your lungs out, and then they tell you, actually, we don't know what happened. Bro, what the actual fuck? And they love the fake-out endings, too. Netflix always teases a final bombshell. You know the one. But in 2022, new evidence emerged. And you're like, oh shit, they cracked it. Then they show you some blurry Polaroid or a receipt from Home Depot and go, but ultimately, nothing came of it. What? That's not new evidence. That's trash. That's filler disguised as a finale. And the way they edit it is insulting. They'll hype it up with dramatic strings, the narrator whispering, could this be the key investigators missed? And then slam you with, nope, inconclusive. It's like ordering a steak and getting an empty plate, every goddamn time. And sometimes they try to soften the blow with those creepy what-if endings. They'll zoom out on a cornfield at sunset and whisper, maybe the killer is still out there watching? Oh, shut the fuck up. The killer is probably dead or living quietly in Florida, not lurking in the shadows watching me binge Netflix. But they love that spooky outro because it tricks you into thinking the case isn't just unsolved. It's ongoing, like the killer's on the other side of your window right now, eating popcorn, laughing at how Netflix turned his crimes into binge-worthy entertainment. It's all smoke and mirrors, but by the time they roll credits, you're convinced evil is breathing down your neck, when in reality you just wasted 10 hours staring at cornfields. And you know what the sickest part is? We eat it up, we complain, we roast it, we meme it, but the second a new one drops, we're back on the couch, locked in. On a cold night in 1993, something unthinkable happened in a quiet town. Boom, booked again. Netflix could drop the mystery of the missing sandwich, and we'd still binge the whole series. Episode 1. He was hungry. Episode 2. Neighbors say he seemed normal. Episode 3. But then, a shocking twist. Someone else had mayonnaise. By episode 10, the big reveal is the case remains unsolved. And we'd still be online like, yo, have you seen that sandwich, doc? Crazy shit. It's a cycle of addiction, and Netflix knows it. The truth is, we don't even want closure. We want the circus. We want the creepy music, the fake suspects, the blurry footage, the crying interviews. We want the ride, not the destination. Because if they actually solved these cases, it wouldn't be half as addictive. Imagine a documentary where they just say, yeah, we caught the guy. Case closed. That's one episode. Done. But Netflix wants 10. They want you binging all weekend, losing sleep, side-eyeing your neighbors, doubting your mailman. They don't care about truth, they care about runtime. And deep down, so do we. We want to feel that paranoia, that suspense, that fake sense of danger, even when we know the ending will be bullshit. And let's be honest, we're part of the problem. We know it's fake. We know it's padded. We know the ending is going to be unsolved or inconclusive. But we still click, still watch, still post memes about it. We're addicts, hooked on cornfield drone shots and whispery narrators. Netflix isn't documenting crimes. They're feeding an audience of thrill junkies who love being strung along. It's like fast food. You know it's trash, but damn it, you crave it anyway. You know the burger is greasy and fake, but you're still in the drive-thru at midnight, ordering 3 more. That's Netflix true crime in a nutshell. Junk food for your paranoia. So, yeah, every Netflix true crime doc ends the same way. Unsolved, inconclusive, spooky outro. No closure, no answers, just vibes. And we'll bitch about it, swear we're never watching another one, then binge the next drop anyway. Because Netflix doesn't need truth, they need atmosphere. And we don't need answers, we need drama. That's why the cycle never ends. The endings suck, but the ride is too damn good to quit.